So I'm gonna start showing my annotations for the Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. This is gonna be one of my first time actually, annotating. So yeah, I started with highlighting and annotating. I was born with water on the brain, and I had said the first sentence is interesting. I'm curious to what it means. Just really curious as to the definition or what the author meant by that. Also, I had highlighted, I heard how amazing it was because they were talking about the book, and I was just wondering, where did they hear this from? I highlighted who have not seen themselves in literature because they were describing literature and how people mirror themselves in books and stuff like that. I had said, is there a text in this book that are relatable or interesting enough for me to be able to see myself in literature? I had also highlighted, this book is good. I cannot believe it was assigned. I said, I hope this book is good too because they're speaking highly of it. And I also highlighted and annotated power with humor, grace, and love because I was assuming that this person is a good person because they describe this person as good with their ability to speak and just tell a good story. I highlighted cerebral spinal fluid inside my skull because I was wondering, does this cause any pain or what exactly is it? I highlighted I was born with water in the brain because it just didn't make any sense to me. I didn't really know it was an actual brain condition, so I actually found out what it actually meant. I also highlighted and to annotate it. Maybe the whole thing is funny and weird because he's trying to use humor to mask the seriousness of his condition. Live the rest of my life as a vegetable. I highlighted and annotated that because I thought, okay, like he can't move, he's limp, so he's disabled, he can't do much. I had highlighted and annotated that he ended up having 42 teeth, so I just simply highlighted and annotated that and said that was way too many teeth. It was just something I was thinking of. I also highlighted, but the Indian Health Service funded major dental work only once a year, so I had to have all 10 extra teeth pulled in one day. I highlighted and stated that in other parts of the world, their healthcare isn't advanced and regulated as it is here. I also annotated, like enemies, they used to be married to each other, but now they hate each other's guts. I assumed that's how his parents, not his parents, I'm sorry. I just assumed that he meant his eyes don't really agree with each other. I also highlighted a lot of things that had to do with his condition, just random little details and stuff that I found very interesting that he thought. Also, I highlighted this because it's really interesting to see how others see themselves. His biggest insecurity is his speech impediment. Because of this, he describes himself in a negative manner, really. So he has very low confidence, as you can see, and he draws because certain things can be misinterpreted. He likes to draw, and I just found it interesting because he stated a very valid point. If you speak and write English or Spanish or Chinese or any other language, then only a certain percentage of human beings will get your meaning. But if you draw it, it means the same exact thing in any other language. These are just things that I found interesting as well. He describes throughout this whole chapter, basically, that he's very poor. I found this is really funny. Mr. Dodge wasn't even a real science teacher. I just said, so why is he teaching? But they just said that the school didn't have enough money. So I was really surprised that his sister got married. She was really young and she still decided to take off. She took inspiration from her brother and just left the res after he decided to change his schools. I highlighted and annotated tautology, if that's how you say it. It's the same thing twice in different words. I feel like I do that a lot. It says, what would they think of me if they knew I sometimes had to hitchhike to school? Yeah, so I pretended to have a lot of money. I pretended to be in middle class. I pretended I belonged. Nobody knew the truth. That's just another one of his insecurities, being poor. I also highlighted after 50 laps, one guy quit, and since quitting is contagious, 3 other boys caught the disease and walked off the court too. It just made me realize some people take the easy way out. Indians can be just as judgmental and hateful as any white person. I feel like any race can be racist. The answer, I said, grief is something you may never heal from. As we keep going, you just see how Arnold is being treated by everybody else after he has a basketball game and the news crew come in and they interview him. And at this point, so much has changed for him. At first, he wasn't getting along with his classmates and stuff like that. He was fighting with them. They were saying some really racist things to him. I highlighted, he really loves his friend Rowdy. Men's friendships are simple because they can't be. His sister died, so I highlighted a lot of these things because he seems to be really hurt about his sister specifically dying more than his grandma. How his sister died, I just said she died a peaceful death, faster than grandma. Grandma, got hit by a drunk driver. Right here I highlighted that he was experiencing hysteria. He didn't really know how to express his emotions. He was really upset and didn't even know it at this point. I also highlighted, I'm crazy about you, he said, and he hugged me and he hugged my mother. I said, I wish they had a moment like this with Mary before she died. Up to this point, I realized he has grit. He had a lot of things happen to him, and I just hope he continues to reach his goals despite all the things he's going through and will go through. So this was just a sweet moment that he had with Rowdy. So at the end, I highlighted this. And I basically said, they rekindled. I like the how the story played out, and it still has a very happy ending. He persevered and accomplished all his goals. So yeah, those were my annotations for the entire book.